Chapter 14, Milestones and Mistakes. I fast-tracked my way through the nursing program and graduated the week before my 21st birthday. I walked across the stage and got pinned holding my son. My mom, Hannah, and Pop roared in the audience when it was my turn and took a million pictures. As my graduation present, birthday gift to myself, I transferred $5,000 out of my savings account and planned my first ever girls' weekend in Tampa. Tampa, Florida was a little less than 4 hours away, which was a lot closer than Miami, but far enough to not run into anyone I knew. Once I sent out the social media invites to all my old friends and a few of my new ones, I immediately regretted it. I was so caught up in my ideas for a fun weekend that I didn't even realize it meant I'd have to leave Major behind. Leaving Major was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. I was crying as I was packing my clothes, but luckily my mom gave me the pep talk that I needed to go through with the trip. I hadn't been away from my son for more than a couple hours since the day he was born. Unselfishly, my mom volunteered her weekend so that Hannah could go down and we could celebrate our birthday together, like we used to. We rented the biggest SUV available, and I drove away knowing that Major was in great hands. We picked friends up along the way, and the 6 of us rode down together on Friday evening to check into the hotel. When we got to the hotel, we literally just unloaded our stuff and got ready to go out. I ran to Hannah's room while she checked us in and decorated it with gold birthday party favors. Gold was her favorite color, so I got gold balloons and gold streamers. After all, it was her birthday too. I knew that she would be so happy when she walked into her room and saw it all decorated. I ran out thinking I was so sneaky. When I got to my room at the other end of the hall and walked in, I saw that Hannah had the same idea. Copycat. While I was decorating her room, she ran down here and decorated mine. Red helium balloons and red streamers were all over the room. There was even a bright red teddy bear sitting on my bed. And we planned on bar hopping tonight and spending all of Saturday at the casino. I put on a red long-sleeve dress that I'd bought online last year, but never wore. It was skin-tight, cut right above the knee and had red-laced sleeves. I accessorized it with gold jewelry and gold strappy heels. I'd gotten a spray tan on Thursday morning, so my skin was nice and bronzed. I could definitely pass for Hispanic. There were 3 hard knocks on my door, and I could tell it was Hannah. You can call it sister telepathy. I opened my room door, and there she stood, a knockout in a sexy all-black jumpsuit. Her shoulder-length curls were pinned back with sparkly clips, which reminded me that I had no idea what to do with my hair. The weather app on my phone said it was going to be cool tonight, somewhere in the mid-60s. I walked into the bathroom, plugged in my straightener, and finished my makeup while it heated.
Happy birthday, Hales.
Happy birthday back, I laughed.
Are you going to straighten your hair?
Hannah asked as she made her way into the small bathroom. Yeah, why? I asked, starting to section off portions.
Well, your hair is below your butt, and it will probably take at least an hour for you to make it look even remotely straight.
You're right, I said, switching off the flat iron. I opted for mousse instead and scrunched my hair, going through the whole bottle before I was done.
Why don't you do it half up and half down, like you did at your wedding? It's going to be hot inside the club.
Good idea. I think I will. I wasn't sad anymore when someone brought up memories of my life with Joey. Instead, I would just smile and replay some of my happiest times with him in my head. I spent only a few minutes brushing back my flyaways to put the top up and spent most of my attention gelling down my baby hairs.
Hales, it's 11:11. Let's make our birthday wish together,
Hannah requested, from the bed. Okay, let's make a wish. We met the girls in the lobby, and the car service was already parked outside, waiting. We all walked into the nightclub without waiting in line because I had a pre-arranged VIP section set up for us. It was my 21st birthday and Hannah's 22nd. We planned on partying like rock stars. We just sat at our table for a bit while the club started to fill. I stared at the large, unopened bottle of peach vodka in front of me that Hannah had picked for us. I hadn't had any alcohol since my wedding, but I was going to tonight. Amila poured everyone a drink, and we vibed to the music until it got too crowded to see the stage. I took a couple of sips, but didn't really like it. Our good friend Candace, who grew up on our block, was also a lawyer, like Hannah. She loved a good party, and even at 110 pounds on a 6-foot frame, the girl could outdrink any man. I loved Candace. She was always the life of the party. The club was getting louder and warmer as the night went on, but I was enjoying myself. Candace and Amila left the VIP and came back with a tray full of shots.
Happiest of birthdays, Haley and Hannah.
Candace screamed at the top of her lungs and handed us both a shot. I took it without hesitation and gagged harshly after the burning in my throat subsided. "Oh my God, what the hell is this?" I shouted, hoping to be heard by someone in my group.
"It's tequila,"
Amila said, leaning over to yell in my ear. I just sat back in the booth and listened to the music for over an hour. I watched as Amila and Jade swiped through profiles on a social website looking for hot guys in the area. A popular song we all knew from a local artist back home played, and I felt my arms being yanked up to make me stand. My girls were trying to drag me onto the dance floor, so I doubled back and downed 2 more shots. We danced for what felt like hours, and I had sweat running down my back. Pop, hip-hop, rap, EDM, and Spanish music had all been played, so it must have been reggae hour. I heard the DJ announce last call, but I knew I'd already had too much, so I just continued to move to the beat of the music. I'd left my phone in the room and didn't have on a watch, so I had no idea what time it was. I just knew I was hot, sweaty, tired, and hungry. I was minding my business, swaying on the dance floor with my eyes closed, when I felt arms wrap around my waist from behind. Without looking back or even opening my eyes, I just kept on dancing. I was slowly grinding my ass into the stranger's pelvis, and it felt nice to be held. When the song ended, I turned around and saw an angel of a man. He was tan, had dark brown eyes and long, jet-black curly hair that draped over his shoulders. He started speaking in what sounded like Spanish, but I had no idea what he was saying. All I knew was that he was beautiful and sounded so sexy. "I'm sorry, I don't understand," I said, holding out my hands, palms up, and shrugging my shoulders.
"You built like girl from my country,"
he said in a thick, layered accent. "Are you from Brazil?" I asked in his ear over the music.
"Yes, where you from?"
"Here. Well, Florida anyway."
"Really, you look amazing, Linda."
"Thanks, it's Haley," I said, picking out every other word from his sentences. "What is your name? Nombre? I don't know much Spanish."
"I speak Portuguese. They call me Arturo."
I was so done with the night, but the girls wanted to stay until the club closed, so I had Arturo take me back to the hotel. When he pulled up to the front lobby to let me out, I motioned for him to park and asked him to come up with me. Before we got off the elevator, we were engaged in a wild high school makeout session. We kissed all the way to my room and only broke apart so that I could get my key card in the door. When we toppled into the room, I walked over to the bed and gestured for him to get on top. The slight bulge in his pants let me know that he was ready, and I knew for damn sure that I was. He was a great kisser, and the licks on my neck had me dripping under my dress. I watched drunkenly as he put some background music on from his phone and started dancing for me while he stripped. I was a bit anxious to start. Joey was the first and last person I'd been with, but it was time to clean out the cobwebs. I never even took off my dress. I just rolled it up to my belly button and slid my panties down to my ankles. The whole experience only lasted for about 10 minutes. I don't know if it was my heart or the tequila, but I felt a tsunami of emotion capsize the love boat I was cruising on. I'm not going to lie. The 5 minutes were enjoyable, but at some point, I began to sober up. Every time the box spring squeaked, Joey's face kept popping into the back of my mind. I turned my head to rest it on the pillow and saw a red balloon floating in the corner. It reminded me of my first time, with Joey. Tears were flowing freely down my face now, and when Arturo reached the end, he stopped rocking the bed.
"Am I hurt you?"
he asked when he looked down at me. "No, it's not that."
"You finish?"
"Yes, I'm finished," I said, even though I didn't get off.
"You're sad? You have husband or something?"
He asked, looking at me. Or something, I answered, attempting to pull my rolled-up dress back down. He hopped off of me like I suddenly had cooties and started putting his clothes back on. I didn't know him enough to feel like I owed him an explanation, but we did just have sex. I sat up to explain that I'd recently become a widower. Luckily for me, I didn't have to, because Arturo was halfway out the door when I fixed my mouth to speak. When I heard the door shut and knew I was alone, I rolled over and wept into the hotel pillow, leaving behind a pool of salty tears and black mascara. I felt dirty, like I'd been working outside all day. So I got up to take a shower. I paced the room while I waited for the water to heat up, and I wanted to kick myself. I grabbed the tear-stained pillow and beat the hell out of it. I took out all my pent-up frustration on that stupid feather pillow. I stepped into the boiling hot water to wash off my first one-night stand. I laughed out loud when I thought about the fact that, coincidentally, I'd also lost my virginity in a hotel room. I truly thought going home with a stranger would be a lot more thrilling, but it was just humiliating. Arturo probably thought I was just some whore in a red dress, but I was over everything and way too tired to care.